The following program is the work of the broadcast students at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the last week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Coming up on BCIT magazine, one Vancouver neighborhood is fighting to save its culture.
Buying vintage clothing online.
Helping children learn in a new way.
Welcome to BCIT magazine. I'm Jordan Nelson.
And I'm Bahul Sharma. Let's take a look at what's making news this week.
The Vancouver Park Board is considering bringing back the temporary bike lane through Stanley Park, but local businesses want to put on the brakes. My co-anchor Bahul Sharma takes us for a ride.
This bike lane in Stanley Park is making a return. The Vancouver Park Board has voted in favor to keep it up until October of 2021. The lane was initially added to get people out and active last spring after Stanley Park was shut down. When the lane was initially added, small businesses were livid, and nearly a year later, they still aren't happy. Capilano Group Vice President Sue Kafka was quoted before the vote saying, "Faced with another summer like last year, the Park Board's decision to restrict car traffic to one lane is devastating, and it sends a message that they don't care and they're not listening." According to a survey done by the City of Vancouver, 47% of people found the park better with separated lanes for vehicles and cyclists. Many road users have voiced their displeasure with the lane, but one cycling enthusiast says that motorists need to see the perspective of others.
I think that there's a bit of entitlement going on here, and I think that people sometimes have the mistaken idea that roads are for cars. Roads are for people, and some people choose to ride a bike, and that should not be threatening to people.
The implementation of the bike lane lowers the chances of a collision between road users and cyclists. One regular biker says he understands the problems motorists face sharing the road with cyclists.
I understand how difficult it can be to always be checking your blind spot. Like on the right-hand side of the vehicle, your blind spot is quite large. And bicycles can come up on you quite quickly, especially when traffic is moving slowly.
After October, park commissioners have contemplated the idea of keeping the lane, and a painted long-term bike lane has also been discussed. Something that small businesses in the park won't be too happy about. Bahul Sharma for BCIT magazine in Vancouver. A community is fighting to save a popular Filipino restaurant. They say it's not COVID that's the problem, it's City Hall. Justin Park has the story.
On a small block of land, right down the road from Joyce Collingwood Station, the home away from home for many Filipinos in the community is now under threat.
We were informed that this site, they will build a 32-story building.
If the proposal is approved, several restaurants will have to look for new locations, and customers will be left asking when and where they will be able to get a taste of home.
This is the only Filipino place or restaurant we go to all the time. Food here is very delicious. A lot of people come here from different cities.
The site sold in 2017 for $38 million. The proposed building will cover half a block on Joyce Street, a multi-purpose structure with commercial units on the ground, green spaces, and a public library on the second floor. Now, current business owners on the block fear they'll be displaced.
Then I'm just hoping that we, as the former tenants here, will be given a chance to operate our business again in the new building.
The proposal is open for public consultation until the end of March. And while the redevelopment may seem threatening for the business owners and Filipino community here, all they ask is a chance to reopen once again when all the dust settles.
We consider it as our new home, so I think this space will always remind us of home.
Justin Park in Vancouver for BCIT magazine.
Spring is just around the corner, meaning more of us are outside playing our favorite sports. Our reporter Aaron Rempel takes us for a spin.
On a clear weekend, you can catch a glimpse of discs flying around in Metro Vancouver parks. No, they aren't UFOs. These disc golfers are out practicing their signature moves.
Specifically recently, it seems like there's way more people just getting out on a daily basis, larger groups of people, different demographics of people, and I definitely would attribute that to the provincial orders to get out and enjoy park space.
The Professional Disc Golf Association, which has 120,000 members, says more people are getting interested in the sport as spring approaches. The owner of Abby's Sports Shop store in East Vancouver agrees.
Disc golf has been growing in this city and the country and the globe really for quite some time, and the pandemic, to use a pandemic word, has exacerbated sales in this sport.
However, competitors will have to stay local. Big championships are happening only south of the border.
The way BC has their restrictions right now, there is absolutely no golf going on at a competitive level at all in BC.
Despite the lack of events, Burby has seen more youth get involved in the sport, which bodes well for the future.
It's actually pretty, last summer especially, it was nice to see there was a lot of school groups that came out. Every day from 10 till, I want to say 4, there was groups of kids circling the park.
Aaron Rempel in East Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
We now go to reporter Aaron Rempel. So Aaron, what kind of major events in pro disc golf are coming up?
Well, Bahul, the Professional Disc Golf Association says that the Alberta Open is going to happen from June 4th to 6th. Then the 24th River City Cup is set to kick off in Edmonton. That'll happen from May 22nd to 24th. Back to you.
Thank you, Aaron.
You may think an auction is a place to buy artwork or antiques, but a young entrepreneur has set up a business for you to bid on vintage streetwear. Our reporter Zach Kedash has the story.
For the most part, I've been doing it long enough that I know that what's good is good and what's not so good is what I'm passing through.
Tyler Bush is a self-described thrifter, meaning he resells vintage clothing from thrift stores in the hope of making a profit.
It's like, wow, I can make some serious money doing this, so.
Tyler's been thrifting for years, but in September he took his business to another level.
3, 2, 1, and 0.
Tyler went digital. Through Instagram's live stream function, he operates Vancouver Virtual Flea, hosting other thrifters each week selling their products in a live auction.
Early 2000s.
The change to a digital auction was brought by necessity when in-person flea markets became impossible.
We used to do the Granville Flea. We used to vend for them down in Vancouver at different nightclubs. And then COVID happened and we stopped doing those events.
The Virtual Flea now boasts 61 different thrifters. It's the type of mutual relationship one business expert says is now essential.
Obviously, we've seen an enormous movement, and a huge acceleration of commerce into digital platforms. And the big guys, the Amazons and the eBays and everyone else are so dominant that if you can't find a way to collaborate, it might be a little tougher.
Tyler says that after the pandemic ends, he'd like to return to his inspiration.
We've kind of been on an up and up climb, and we hope to keep going. Maybe once COVID is done, we might bring these events in person and have some vendors in person and do kind of like a flea market. That would be pretty cool.
For now, you can find Tyler on Instagram every Thursday night. In Maple Ridge for BCIT Magazine, I'm Zach Kedash.
Remote learning has been difficult for many students, but for children with autism, online learning has been even more challenging. Reporter Katarina Schultz spoke with a behavior consultant to learn a little bit more.
Children with autism have been attending their therapy sessions over Zoom due to the pandemic. Joe DiTomaso, a behavior consultant, discusses how the struggles of learning remotely disproportionately affect those with autism spectrum disorder. Joe, thank you so much for joining me. Could you start off by explaining the difference in learning for children with autism versus neurotypical children?
That are on the spectrum are typically not learning, mostly because A, they have poor eye contact, B, they're not aware of what about a person is really important, which is their face, their expression, what they say, what they are implying. So we teach children imitation, and we teach children imitation of not only body movements, but spoken sounds, words, sentences, and meaning and intent. So those things are really hard to do over Zoom.
Since sessions have moved on to Zoom, Joe, what are some changes you've noticed in the children you work with?
You know, teaching things like theory of mind are going to be really hard as well. So if I'm playing a game, which is, what am I looking at? What am I thinking about? Well, my student, if he's got a lot of wherewithal, is going to say, well, you're looking at your computer or you're looking at me. Not, I'm looking at, I'm looking at this pencil, so I'm thinking of writing. Eye contact, for example, as well. How do I make a child look at me when I'm not in the same physical space as him?
Dr. Bonnie Henry is saying by the summer we'll probably begin the transition into a post-pandemic lifestyle. How will that affect the kids?
Apparently, we've got an entire group of children who are starting to draw faces with no mouths. So they're just faces. They're eyes and hair and heads and no mouths and no noses. And so talk about a lack of social information about that. There's a lot of anxiety, I think. There's anxiety on the part of children who no longer get the supports that they're used to.
Joe, thank you so much for your time and joining me in this interview.
It's been a pleasure, and let me know if you have any other questions. And meanwhile, good luck and have a great day.
Good news is on the way as BC's post-secondary students will be returning to campus this fall. Dr. Bonnie Henry has asked all public educators to prepare for full in-person classes this September. Coming up after the break, a fight over paid parking in regional parks.
And a pet owner seeks answers about her dog's rare condition.
Hey Camila, what are you doing for spring break this time?
I haven't decided yet, but let's find out. I'm Camila Nash.
And I'm Chantal Tanaka.
And this is your community calendar for this week. Let's take a look around the Lower Mainland and see what's happening. Last year we had staycations for spring break, and this year it's happening again. But this time with the wit and humor of women around the world. The International Women of Stand-Up Comedy live show takes place March 12th with tickets just for $12.
Scared you're going to be alone with no one interesting to talk to this break? Look no further, because ZZ Theatre brings you intimate, one-on-one story time sessions with different storytellers. Tickets start at $5 for every human you digitally check out for a 20-minute session.
Find your inner artist and enjoy Van Gogh's paintings on giant screens at the Vancouver Convention Centre. Tickets start at $35 for a bright and safe family experience.
And if that doesn't excite you, check out Vancouver's 16th annual Celtic Festival. Virtually learn to make your own cocktails from home, or join in a live concert to celebrate this year's St. Paddy's Day. Ticket prices vary for each of the week's events. Those were some really good ideas for spring break, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. That's it for this week's community calendar. I'm Camila Nash.
I'm Chantal Tanaka. Hope you enjoy your spring break.
Welcome back to BCIT Magazine. It's been a year since the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 pandemic. So, March 11th is now dedicated as a National Day of Observance. Canada's Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Teresa Tam, says the day will be in remembrance of the lives we have lost.
It will soon cost drivers more to visit two popular parks in Metro Vancouver. As the spring and summer busy seasons approach, be prepared to pay for parking. Reporter Ethan Johannes tells us why.
I'm here at White Pine Beach in Belcarra Regional Park, where in just a few weeks they'll have $2 per hour parking installed for those wishing to visit. Metro Vancouver's installing this to control the traffic flow in spring and summer seasons. This regional park, along with Lynn Headwaters Regional Park in North Vancouver. This will start March 28th all the way through to October 31st, and then in early April for Belcarra.
COVID has really amplified the number of people that are coming to regional parks. And we already had a capacity management challenge, particularly a parking management challenge before the pandemic hit. Belcarra Regional Park, for example, on a busy day, sees approximately 12,000 people come to the park, and it all happens in an early time of the day. So you can imagine it's like a stadium filling up first thing in the morning, and the traffic challenges are quite huge.
Metro Vancouver hopes that paid parking will encourage visitors to carpool or take transit, but these alternatives do have their limitations.
And some people are saying, at least then now people can take transit because there's a bus that goes here. But when you take a family on the bus, I think
it's pretty expensive.
It gets same, you may as well take your car, especially if you have a bunch of stuff to carry, right? So the bus isn't really a fantastic option for people.
By adding parking, it also adds informational data to when people frequent these parks. Belcarra Regional Park will have parking meters as well as pay-by-phone parking done through a third-party company. The funds collected will go back into the parks in the form of traffic control, parking management, and other improvements to better visitor experiences. For those of us fortunate enough to live in beautiful British Columbia, it's hard to put a price on nature. At location on White Pine Beach in Belcarra Regional Park for BCIT Magazine, I'm Ethan Johannes.
We are joined now by reporter Ethan Johannes. Ethan, has a spike in visitors caused Metro Vancouver to bring in the fees?
Yeah, back in January, Belcarra and Lynn Headwaters Regional Park saw double the amount of visitors from the previous year. They estimate there were over 1.2 million visitors in the cold month of January. Back to you, Jordan.
Thanks, Ethan.
Two Langley Brewery students are launching a new beer in celebration of International Women's Week. In collaboration with the Pink Boots Society, the beer will be for sale on March 12th at the Kwantlen Polytechnic University Langley campus.
The largest hospital redevelopment project in BC has officially begun. Health Minister Adrian Dix says the $2 billion hospital is under construction near Falls Creek. The integrated healthcare campus is expected to be completed by 2027.
A pet owner is running out of money trying to support her dog's rare condition. My co-anchor Jordan Nelson explains why this is such a medical mystery.
Ashley Shu is a new pet owner and has been dealing with unexpected financial hardships.
Like his jaw goes out about an inch right here, whereas on the other side it's like smooth.
Shu got Buddy 5 months ago as a puppy and started seeing a growing lump on his neck.
The vet says she's never seen anything like it in 35 years, even in an adult dog, but especially because he's so young, it's weird.
Shu says she's spent $2,400 on Buddy so far, and there's no sign the bills will end anytime soon.
There's gonna be so far like monthly x-rays, which are like almost $400. Radiology opinions are like $200 until we figure out what it is and how we can bring the swelling down.
This x-ray shows the unnatural bone growth on Buddy's neck. The radiology report Shu received suggests this might be osteomyelitis, which is a rare infection that occurs inside a bone. Shu was looking to get pet insurance, but unfortunately now that Buddy is sick, he doesn't qualify. One insurance broker has advice for pet owners.
So if you get the coverage ahead of time, like get your puppy and your puppy is whatever, a few months old, and you get the insurance in place, it'll be rated based on the age of the puppy and what vulnerabilities it could have.
Until Shu gets the exact answer she needs about her dog's condition, it looks like she'll be spending large amounts of money trying to figure it out. Jordan Nelson in Delta, BCIT Magazine.
If you have any questions regarding the show, you can contact us at bcit-broadcast.com or bcitnews.com.
Thanks for watching BCIT Magazine. I'm Bahul Sharma.
And I'm Jordan Nelson. Have a great spring break.